Hello, my lovely friends and followers who listen to the podcast. Welcome back to the show. I've got my second cup of coffee. This is the coconut vanilla flavored Nespresso pod. Second cup of coffee today. I'm trying to finish the Oatly that I've been drinking because I'm catching a flight tonight and I'm trying to eat everything from my fridge. But yeah, I'm excited to share today's episode, which is all about how to eat out without stress. I think this episode is coming at a good time because it's summer right now. A lot of you are traveling, a lot of you are camping, doing fun things, spending time with your friends, having picnics, going out to do more things and activities. I'm also the same. I have been doing this diet, if you guys heard me talk about it in previous episode, where I've been cutting for Tomorrowland. And now that I'm heading over to Tomorrowland this weekend, actually when this podcast episode is being released, I'm already done Tomorrowland. But as of right now, as I am traveling to Europe, I'm no longer going to be cutting anymore. So I'm thinking about okay, what am I going to eat? How am I going to eat out? While also supporting my gut and skin, because what's important when you're traveling and you have a lot of activities going on, it can definitely throw off your digestive system. And some people actually notice more flare-ups in the gut or even on the skin when they're traveling. And so in today's episode, I want to dive into how you can start eating out without stress while supporting your gut and your skin. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. I just want to mention before giving you guys the tips when it comes to how to eat out at restaurants and things like that is I want you to remind yourself that eating out does not mean you're sabotaging your healing. I think there's this idea that if we eat foods that are outside from restaurants, ordering takeout, it means you're going to flare. It means that it's going to throw your healing backwards. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know how much I swear by having a balanced diet, meaning, yes, it's important to eat whole foods in your diet to support your gut and skin, but it's also just as important to be able to eat the foods you enjoy. And that might look like pizza, bread, and having desserts here and there and going out with your friends. And that's perfectly okay. And in fact, I actually encourage you to go out and enjoy yourself, because a lot of the times I know those of you who are listening have been in a very restrictive type of lifestyle because you've been told that you have to avoid gluten, dairy, sugar, to avoid all these foods, even whole foods like fruits and vegetables, very strict candida diets. So I know exactly what you guys are experiencing because I see my clients. I know that it's something they have been told to do prior to working with me, and I've also been in that cycle as well. One thing to remember too is that social connection, eating out with your friends, pleasure, having fun, right? All of that is part of a healthy lifestyle as well. While including whole foods is certainly important, the mindset around your food and your meals is equally as important as well. You want to have a positive relationship when you eat out with your food and also when you cook your meals. That is very, very important when you are trying to heal your body from skin issues, from gut issues, from any sort of chronic symptoms that you might be experiencing. I want that to be like a reminder for all of you who have maybe a little bit of fear around eating out, is to just release it, remembering that it's not sabotaging your healing. We're all busy. It's summer. It's okay if you've been eating out for the past few weeks, right? It's about finding balance, which we can talk about in this episode. First and foremost, when you are traveling or going out to eat, one of the things that I recommend doing is to prepare in advance. What I mean by this is if you know you're going to go eat out at a restaurant, consider checking the menu and seeing if there are options that you can eat. Now, this is going to be specifically important if you're someone who has food sensitivities or allergies. You do want to check the menu ahead of time to make sure there are options for you to choose from. Generally, what I would say are the healthier type of cuisines where you can definitely have more of those healthy options. Sushi or Japanese food, you can have fresh sashimi, and that's a lot of omega-3s. Then they pair that with a seaweed salad. So you get lots of protein and fiber in Japanese-based meals, and then rice in the sushi as well, which you don't have to avoid, right? It's about finding that balance again and choosing protein, fiber, and fats when you're out at restaurants. Mexican food is also pretty good as well. A lot of their meals are naturally gluten-free because they use corn as the base. They have a protein source. You can get like a burrito bowl. There's your beans and legumes, chicken or ground beef, and that's usually with some rice and some veggies. That's a balanced meal because you got your protein, fats, and fiber. I'm Asian, so I love my Asian food. And I find that if I'm trying to choose Asian cuisines, I usually lean towards Japanese, for example, or Vietnamese food. Because Vietnamese food, for those of you, I don't know if you guys are Vietnamese listening to my podcast episodes, but you can find healthy options at Vietnamese restaurants. Salad rolls, you can do those bowls that have rice vermicelli, rice noodles with a protein, and they often add some fresh vegetables like cucumber and carrots. Maybe you can request for more. So there are definitely different cuisines you can choose from that have those healthier options. Those are just some examples. Of course, you have your own preference of what type of cuisines you like, but generally speaking, you want to check the menu and see if there are options that you can choose from. If you need to call ahead of time, restaurants are usually happy to accommodate, especially if you have allergies. You don't want to end up going to a place that they aren't careful with your nut allergy or there's cross-contamination, so always call ahead of time. Now, when you're actually eating out at a restaurant, this is where we want to optimize your different macronutrients. So protein, fats, and fiber. Always make sure that you've got some protein source, a good carb source, brown rice, potatoes, and fiber, which comes from vegetables, fruits, and beans and legumes. This is important because these foods, these macronutrients like protein and fiber, it helps to stabilize your blood sugars and it supports digestion as well. You want to make sure you're always pairing your protein and fiber at every meal. So I gave the example of Mexican food, right? They usually have tacos or burrito bowls. They usually have a protein source. They have lettuce, beans added into the taco or the burrito bowl, and that is your complete meal. If you're eating out and you want to choose a salad, that's your fiber. Then add in a protein, add in grilled chicken, add in salmon, add in prawns. Again, pairing that protein and fiber. You can also ask for modifications, right? Don't be afraid to ask. So if you feel like a meal is going to lack a little bit of fiber, maybe you want to add some extra greens. Maybe you want to swap the fries out and add in a side salad. And also have extra fries if you want, right? You don't have to completely avoid fries unless you really need to, but you can have a side salad and have side fries. Why not have both? Now, what I would say when you're eating out is we still want to try and avoid ultra processed foods, things that are overly fried, overly loaded with sugar, especially if you know that they trigger you. Regardless if they trigger you, if we eat too much of these processed foods, it's going to cause inflammation in the body, whether or not you have symptoms or not. Eventually, that's going to create some type of inflammation in the body. That being said, you don't need to be perfect and have to be so strict and avoid all the processed foods, avoid seed oils and all those things, right? Just be aware of how the foods make you feel. And again, looking at your overall diet. If you're just eating out once or twice a week, but generally speaking, you have a pretty wholesome diet. I actually have an episode about this. It's about the 70-30 rule for sustainable healthy eating. That's going to help you a lot. And looking at your diet in a way where it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be super strict or you're going off the rails, right? Finding that balance. Avoid foods only if they trigger you. Don't avoid them if you don't need to. Now, again, we don't want to overeat processed foods or a lot of gluten and dairy because sometimes those kind of foods can actually cause inflammation in the body, but we just need to be mindful, okay? The word mindful is very important here. So those are some tips when it comes to balancing your meals when you're eating out or when you're ordering takeout. The other thing that I would suggest is you want to support your digestion with these simple tools. When you're eating outside meals, we don't know what kind of oils you're adding. We don't know how much food there is. Usually it's more food than what we prepare at home. People tend to get bloated when they eat outside meals. I would suggest taking a digestive enzymes. Enzymes are really good for breaking down heavier meals. If you want access to professional grade supplements, check out the show notes below and you can order directly from Thorne. Thorne is a very reputable, high quality supplement brand. They have digestive enzymes that are really good for supporting your digestion. And you get a discount from using the link below. Don't forget to also eat slowly, chew your food very well. Remember, digestion starts in the mouth. We don't want to be scarfing down our food and drinking too much water and fluids when you're eating. Really try and eat slowly and enjoy your meal. And lastly, have fun with your friends, right? Enjoy your meal. Eating is a social activity, right? Especially in our Asian culture, we love to eat. I love to eat. I'm a foodie. I go out to eat with my friends to spend time with them. We pick nice restaurants. We like to try different foods. And you should be able to have fun and do the same, right? I want you to build a positive relationship with your meals, with your food, spend time with your family, spend time with your friends. One meal or two meals or three meals isn't going to break your progress, because if you're listening to this episode and my podcast, you're already health conscious, you already care. I want you to be able to enjoy your foods, have a good time, find that balance. And again, it's really about strategically planning, right? Calling the restaurants ahead of time, checking the menu, making modifications to your meal if you need to. And honestly, you don't have to do any of that if you don't have any allergies and you just want to just eat whatever, so be it, right? Go ahead and eat whatever you want. As long as it's not flaring you. And if it does, you know that you can always heal from flare-ups from food. Having the right tools and protocol will help with that. So what I'm trying to say here, I'm like rambling now, but don't be too hard on yourself. Go and enjoy. Now, if you need help with all of this and you're like, I really need to work on my relationship with food, I feel stressed about my diet, I feel stressed about eating out, I don't know how to meal plan, I'm your girl. I'm the registered dietitian. I will help you. I want to make your life easier while healing at the same time. We've had tons of clients who went from restrictive dieting to now eating the foods they enjoy and still healing. We recently worked with a client from the UK, and she came to me on a very restrictive diet, avoiding all these things, going vegan, and she was still not seeing changes with her skin. In fact, it was actually worsening because of the tons of supplements she was on. And after streamlining everything, making her protocol way more simple, adding back nutritious foods, allowing her to go enjoy time with her friends, she literally shared with me that her life has changed, and working with me was the best decision she's ever made. I hope that gives you inspiration to know that healing is possible without needing to restrict your lifestyle. It's about having the support, the right strategy, and the right tools. I would love to support you on your journey. You can book a free consult call in the show notes below, and we can talk about how we can support you. And don't forget to leave us a review on Apple iTunes or Spotify if you've been finding the episodes helpful. That will help us so much in the podcast and reaching more people, helping more people in the world. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys so much. Enjoy your summer, and we will see you in the next episode.